What is up, ladies and gentlemen, friends, and hashtag family? We are here for the best ball draft. Can you guys see me on the screen here? Are we up and
I
running?
can't see you on the screen, Coop, and I'm dying. I want to know where you are.
That's not good.
We'll figure it out.
Well, for those listening at home right now, we have a live best ball draft today. There we go. Look at that.
Oh,
Bender, tech
you're
star.
clicking.
And
You're clicking around things you shouldn't be clicking around, buddy.
well, there you go. Anyway, the big reveal. I was just setting up for the big reveal. The big reveal, of course, is that today on the show, it's not just me and Benderino. It's the great Joey Wright joining us from the Football Guys to draft with the family. Every Wednesday, we do a family best ball draft. If you want to get involved, then there's two ways. You go out, get yourself an all-pro membership at Fantasy Alarm, as Bender's hat indicates right there.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, what does that one say?
Oh,
I'm just
Ooh, the Football Guys hat. Look at you.
I'm
All
just
right.
celebrating the arrival of Joey. I got myself
Thank
a
you.
football
Appreciate
guy's
it.
cap there.
Then
Come on, man.
I will rep our brand and how you get in how you get into these drafts. Get a all pro membership, which gets you everything. That gives you access to the Discord. It gets you every sport: football, baseball, basketball, MMA, hockey, PGA, the whole deal. Or we do have a little deal going now where if you go and get the Fantasy Alarm cheat sheet, we give you access to the best ball channel so you can draft with us. So typically you need an all pro to get in there. We're letting people that buy the cheat sheet right now get in. It's over at our site, fantasyalarm.com/bestball. But we are here today to do a draft. So Benderino, why don't you go and join that draft now? That'll kick us off. This one is loaded up with me, Bender, Joey Wright, and a bunch of Fantasy Alarm members, including at least one first-time drafter with us. Our buddy Hal, work and grind in the chat, always hanging out with us. Yes, Hal, great dude. Officially, Underdog is available in Michigan. So get set up. Everybody get going. But enough of that. How's it going, Joey? How's it going, Bender? How are we doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to be here with you guys for sure. I think, Bender, is this our first time streaming together? We've had many of conversations, usually in Las Vegas for some reason, but this might be our first time streaming together.
That surprises me that this is the first time we're streaming together. It's always great to get a chance to hang out with you. I love the jacket. You're always so dapper, my friend. You're always, you're always looking like somebody who just raided a truck that has a lot of Eastern European tracksuits in it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't like it when people come on their other people's shows and they hawk their gear. Like, hey, come buy my stuff in my shop. This was made specifically for me. Came with a tag that said created for Joey Wright. Presented to me by Joe Bryant at last year's retreat. There's pants that go to it. There's like another jacket. It's it was raining like crazy in Florida today, so I'm like, I'm gonna break out the rain jacket. I wanted to wear it on the show because it's bright and beautiful. So yeah,
Bender, not only does Joey crush the tracksuit, but I've actually seen it. He has perfected the Eastern European, that like Slavic crouch that they do. Like
that's all
I've
thanks to you.
seen it.
You're the person. Actually, now I'm just realizing Coop is the person that said, Joey, crouch down. Had I wouldn't be around today without that.
Yeah. All right, let's get this draft board up. Let's get going. We're already underway. Bender, if you could full screen that pup.
That sucker right there.
Yes, sir. So here's what we got. We have look who's picking there at the 101, Mr. Kevin Tompkins, Fantasy Alarm legend there. We got Tompkins, we got Luke, Mile High Luke, Rocker FCC, who this is one of he just recently got in with us. Now he's getting it in every time. Rue Hunt, Rue Metal over there on the Discord. Joey Wright just took Jamar Chase, the Hamburglar, another regular. I'm picking at 7. Hal, Work and Grind, officially in from Michigan at 8. Roto's Buzz Guy at 9. Pontrio, who of course is Chicago Poncho. Anyone that wants a little mix up on that last week. And then Rock and Roll Ray and CDM 82, 2 more regulars. Of course, CDM being Gringo Loco over there. So stacked with regulars, special guest Joey, and a first timer in Hal. Does it get better than that, Ben?
I don't think it does. I don't think it gets any better than that. You're on the clock here. I'm sitting here just so that everybody knows and everybody can see. I've got my best ball cheat sheet here. Andrew Cooper, I'm probably taking all of your players, everything there. And, this is one of the things that I love doing to Coop, Joey. And, since this is the first time you and I are live streaming a show, I always like to take all of Coop's guys just to see where he's going to pivot to. Like, I want to see what happens. I'll stick to the cheat sheet, but I know that if there's like a tiebreaker there, and I know that it's like, Dalton Kincaid versus Mark Andrews, I know which way I'm going because I'm going to force Coop's hand.
I'm a big fan of making Coop as miserable as possible. So, Howard, I support this practice that you're going through today.
I'll tell you, it's been crazy. And this year, because my rankings are out there for everybody, it's been bad. I mean, I just got sniped in the slow draft by Mile High Luke, who is in this draft as well. So very exciting times. But the beautiful thing is that, one, I have the tiered rankings. So even for myself, if you take someone from my tiers, I can find someone else in the tiers. It's a beautiful thing. Two is that these drafts, make me continuously update the rankings. That's better for everyone. And three, and this is the big thing, is that after doing a bunch of these, I went and did a Best Ball Mania draft this week, and I felt like I've been swinging with the weighted bat, right? Like the shackles were off because now I'm back to drafting against casuals and just randoms. And, there's some sharp people floating around out there, but they don't have the same takes as us. They don't have the same info as us. So it's beautiful. Like, I love my Best Ball Mania team. In these drafts, I'm scrambling. Last week was especially rough because Howard and I were drafting back to back.
Right, back to back. Yes, last time, man, it was crazy. So, Joey, how neck deep are you in all of your best ball prep? I mean, first time that we're drafting here side by side, but how many drafts are under your belt already?
I've got about a dozen. I have 2 Best Ball Mania teams already in the bank. I wanted to do 2 before the schedule came out, and then I'll probably do between 10 and 15 more Best Ball Mania teams before the season runs, and just kind of spread them out equally. I didn't do very well last year, but the year before that, I did pretty well. So, yeah, there's about a dozen right now. But by the end of the year, between Best Ball Mania and just $3 ones that I get invites to, I'll probably be about 100.
Yeah. The schedule, for those who don't know, coming out tonight at 8. I'm going to drop some reactions to that. I have a show tonight at 9, but they'll be out by tomorrow morning. And I'm just the one thing, fingers crossed, that we finally don't have primetime Broncos games like we've had 2 years ago, because those have been excruciating. And I think finally we're going to escape them now that they don't have Russ or any sort of quarterback there. But my goodness.
Guys, how do we feel about all the schedule leaks? Like, tonight's the night, 8 p.m. Eastern. They're going to be announcing, releasing the full schedule. We're getting all the trickle in information here, which I always find super comical. At some point it turns into, like, you remember when everybody was tweeting out the pick of the draft before the broadcast actually had it? It was getting on everybody's nerves. I feel like we're kind of hitting that realm as well.
Yeah, I wish they would just drop it all at once.
Right.
I understand, like, hey, let's release the Monday Night Football schedule a little early. I'll accept that. But, like, they're doing the international games, and, you find a reason they want to release just this little caveat. Just do it all at once. Like, let's make it an event. It'd be so exciting.
Right. Like, and that's what they're doing tonight with the show. I just don't get why they would spoil their own show with, like, these, the leaks.
I think it's not to poop on networks, but I think it's networks. Like, ABC wants to get out in front. NBC wants to get who they've got coming out. So Netflix dropping the bomb that they're trying to get the Christmas Day games. So, yeah.
It is.
I'm just adjusting the draft board here so it's a little bit more visible to everybody here.
Appreciate you, brother. Just want to say shout out quick to the folks hanging in the chat, dude. Crockett Martin hanging out. We got Mile High Luke, of course. Ani Coop, Joey, man, how you doing? Missed ya, Ani Coop.
Ani Coop. So
Coop.
happy. I'm so happy to see you. I missed you so much.
Yeah.
Is that better, guys? Is everybody's old man eyes able to see now?
That's better. Thank you, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate
my
you.
pleasure. I'm here for
Fatty in the chat, of course. So good squad here. Good squad.
All right. Well, I gotta catch up now and cross off some names here. So thoughts on construction. Coop, you got content up on Fantasy Alarm talking about some of the biggest mistakes people make in best ball. Obviously, like, share some of that info.
Yeah, I'll tell you, there's a lot of mistakes. I mean, and once the schedule comes out, another one is going to come up here, which is people are, I feel like, getting too much into the macro content. And again, part of that is because content creators like us are always looking for things to talk about. We're looking for edges and all this stuff, but people take some of these concepts and they overdo it. The number one that I see is stacking. Stacking is a good idea in theory when executed properly, but the amount of times that people reach to put together a stack, that negates any value that you get there. What you want to do is do a bunch of these drafts as you do and try and stack as a tiebreaker. And especially if you can get guys later, if you can get guys below ADP and stack them, that's how you win best ball mania. You don't win best ball mania by reaching well above to get some stack. So, I mean, that's one of many things that I see people doing. These like macro strategies of like, oh, I have to get this stack. So I'm going to reach multiple rounds to get Joe Burrow to pair with Chase. You're bleeding all value. You're bleeding tons of value there. So, but there's a lot of that stuff going on in these drafts, as you'll see.
What about you, Joey? Biggest pitfalls that you see people falling into when it comes to their best ball drafts?
I think just coming in with a clear strategy. I like strategy, but I'm not going to take a player like if let's say I'm going 0 RB, but value falls to me. I'm always going to take value. So I think just being too hard stance and just planting your feet into a strategy can kind of bite you in the butt.
100%. I talked about that in there as well, that it's like, and especially with how many people are going 0 RB these days, where it's like, if you go in and say, I'm doing 0 RB no matter what, and you pick at 12 and the first 11 picks are wide receivers, do you really generate value by going wide receiver at that spot?
Not at all. Like I was looking at Devon Achane there for a little bit, and I'm like, well, if he falls to me at the 3-5, I'm going to take him, even though I'm not super high on him. I love that value there. And then I just went with what I always do and take Laporte in the 3rd round. But still, as I said, don't go the strategy, but
Right. I mean, the thing is, if you again, same with stacking with these strategies, if it all falls that way, that's the sweet spot. Like if you have to pivot to 0 RB because that's how the board falls, and then the stacks fall right into your lap, that's how you win the big bucks, dude. But people kind of forcing it, that's how you kind of set yourself up for failure. And we see that in this draft. Kevin Tompkins, a notorious 0 RB drafter, took a running back 1st overall because Christian McCaffrey is the best value. If guys like him who, have been waving the 0 RB flag when it wasn't cool and wasn't popular, if he can draft a running back, then anyone can and should.
Yeah. Especially with CMC. That. I mean, 100 more points in PPR leagues over the next guy last season, like that's just insane.
Yeah. What about you, Bender? In your early transition over here from the hardball realms, I know you've gotten to a few of these already. Is there anything you're seeing that makes you kind of scratch your head in these early ones?
No, not particularly right now. And and I'll tell you what, I'm actually very surprised at where we are in this draft right now. That nobody's gone QB. I don't know if everybody's using your sheet right now here, Coop. But the fact is, like, forcing stacks is definitely something that we see on the regular, and it's not something, it pushes up the ADP of QBs so much so that it always kind of, it just kind of kills the value over there. Oh, I am on the clock here officially. What does the cheat sheet tell me to do here, Coop? Do you have any idea?
I'm guessing it'll tell you to take Cooper Kupp.
Well, it's saying that Cooper Kupp and Devonta Smith, both in that realm there. That's where I'm supposed to go.
Lucky you. I don't know why I'm telling you that because I'm picking 2 picks.
Now the question is, who do I take?
How did you just trick me?
Do I take Smith? And I'll tell you what, flat out, I'm actually going to – it just made me miss my pick.
I think you took – it looks like you ought to draft Josh Allen, which is a great pick.
That's the worst part right there. That's – man, I see that's my problem here, guys, is the 32nd pick, crossing off names and trying to be moderately entertaining and engage with you guys. And now I'm stuck. Now I'm stuck with a QB. And I don't know how you guys feel about Josh Allen. I get it. The Konami cheat code. We can all shout out Rich Rebar for bringing that to light. But guess what? Our Konami cheat code guy here, the leader of it, he doesn't have the weaponry. Like, I get it. We can all be in on Keon Coleman. He's super fun to sit and watch. but you've got Khalil Shakir and Curtis Samuel, who are the next two, wide receivers in that realm, and they do great things for what Joe Brady likes to do. He likes to run those underneath routes. But I'm looking at Dalton Kincaid as probably like your top guy, like one of your top targets on there. And Joe Brady doesn't want Josh Allen running as much as Josh Allen likes to run. So there's going to be some growing pains there. There's going to be some adjustments made. That's my feeling on Josh Allen. You guys in, you guys out?
The big thing that worries me with Stephon Diggs is that he's led this team in first downs 4 years in a row. That's a big catching that ball on third down when everyone knows it's being thrown and probably knows it's going to you is a difficult task. And Stephon Diggs been able to do it. That's what I worry about. What do you think, Joey? You think that they can still manage?
I think this is the year we find out what Josh Allen really is. And we've seen him with Diggs be 3 of the last 4 years the number 1 quarterback in the league in fantasy. And I think this year we find out what Josh Allen is. I think somebody will step up to the plate. Is it Keon Coleman? Might be. We'll see who it is. But yeah, I'm not exactly – I don't have Allen as my QB1 for the first time in 3 years. I've got Jalen Hurts there now.
I just have a hard time, honestly, picking any of these guys when Patrick Mahomes goes at 4. And I sit there and I say to myself, okay, Patrick Mahomes has been in the league for 6 years. He's been a QB1 every single year. He's has the most fantasy points per game of any player in the history of all of fantasy. For me, if they were all going a little closer together, it'd be easier. I have a hard time pulling the trigger on the first guy, knowing that I can just get Lamar Jackson or Mahomes. Even now, with my next round pick, I could get one of these guys.
And not even the elite quarterbacks. You look at ADP right now, and you can find guys like Trevor Lawrence, Jared Goff, Justin Herbert going past QB 13 right now.
Right.
And it's really hard, especially in best ball, to not try to stack 2 of those guys up. And that's kind of, I guess, a little bit of strategy I have later on down draft boards. But, when Joe Burrow and Kyler Murray is going as the QB 8 and QB 9, it's hard for me to pull the trigger on those early round QBs.
And right now, the farther QBs fall, the funnier it is that Howard auto draft Josh Allen.
I mean, Howard did kind of speak it into existence. So he's like, no one's taking a QB yet.
Just keep that in mind, chat. The funnier the farther Patrick Mahomes falls, the funnier that pick. Also, speaking of funny, Justin in the chat pointed out that, and I know you got it before the show, but your suit does look eerily like the Fallout suits from the new show based on the Fallout. Have you seen it, Joey? It
kind of, I do look like, what is it, Pit Boy? Is that what he's called?
You look like Pit Boy 100%.
Fine. I'll take that.
Yeah. Great show, by the way.
Yeah. Fallout 4, I think, is the last Fallout I played. I enjoyed it.
All right, I am on the clock, and I'm going to take one of my favorite players.
You're gonna kill my stack right there, Coop. I mean, why you gotta be like that, man? Why you gotta be like that?
You said that it was me that was going to the torture chamber, but look how the turntables do turn.
The turntables do turn. They spin right round, like a record playing right round. So, all right. Well, then I'll tell you what, man, because I'm going by your cheat sheet here, and I'm looking into it, and we'll see what this next pick is here. But the pick that the cheat sheet is telling me to do is actually Rashee Rice. Do I make that move here, Coop? Do you feel Rashee Rice is going to be somebody who's going to end up getting suspended for an extended period of time?
I do think he gets suspended, but I still think he's a pretty good value compared to some of the other guys on the board. I might have to revisit it, but I personally I'm still taking him at that spot because I still think he's the best wide receiver on the team.
Well, I'm actually going to jump a little bit here, and I'm going to take myself some Jaden Reed, who what I like the most about Jaden Reed is that Matt LaFleur likes using him like Deebo Samuel, right? He comes from that coaching tree. He likes the end arounds inside near the goal line. He likes the yards after the catch. He likes everything that Jaden Reed brings to the table, and it's like a Deebo Samuel light. So I'm kind of in that realm here as well. But look at Ponch taking Rashee Rice right after me. So
there it is.
Ponch is sitting. Ponch is working this cheat sheet also.
Oh yeah, dude, he's loaded up and looking around. a lot of the usual suspects doing the usual things, making good picks. I see Hal in his first draft here. Shout out Michigan. Now you can get Underdog in Michigan. We're still battling for some of the other places. You know, we're battling for Scott Frankel in Las Vegas. We're fighting for Jerry in Hawaii. But victory on the Michigan front. Hal is now in. If you want to draft with us, if you're out in Michigan or anywhere else, and you haven't played yet, they have a tremendous deal right now. Use promo code ALARM and they do a 50% deposit match up to $250. I swear, when John and Pemba was like, "Oh, there's this new thing called Underdog," when I joined, I think I got like a free entry into like a $5 draft or something like that. And now you can get $250 when you sign up. Look at how talk about turntables turning here. I wish I could go back and sign up for the first time. Take advantage of that. You can now use promo code ALARM. So if you, and again, we do these all the time, and I draft enough that I would easily use, use the $500 or whatever I deposit. So go take advantage of that right now. Boy, there's one player here that I think I'm going to reach on if he's there. Hal, his first draft out of Michigan he just took his first running back in the 6th round, and I kind of do like his team a lot. Let me make my pick, and then we'll talk about it.
I'll say the Hamburglers following you. I saw.
Yeah. Hamburglers
the Chris Godwin pick. Look at that.
I love me some Godwin, man. I'm going to have a lot of them. So yeah, Hal, for those listening at home, went Puka Nacua, Stephon Diggs, DJ Moore, Devonta Smith, Terry McLaurin, David Montgomery. So basically 4 wide receivers that have the potential to lead their team in targets. Devonta Smith, super highly consolidated with AJ Brown, no matter how you slice it. I mean, that's why people are going 0 RB, man, because that is just so safe. Like you're going to be so difficult for those guys, unless they get hurt, to not be good.
So my question here, to jump back to your pick of Chris Godwin, as we all kind of have some time here for a few minutes before our picks. Last year, we were all in on Chris Godwin, right? There was no way Baker Mayfield was going to lock into Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, the short passing game. That's what we were looking at. Dave Canales let Baker Mayfield connect with Mike Evans in every facet. Now you are changing the offensive scheme here. It's a new coordinator. Todd Bowles is bringing in, needed to replace Canales and some of the other staff members that he took with him to Carolina. But what is it about Chris Godwin now that we think Baker Mayfield is going to get him more heavily involved and not just lock on to Mike Evans like he did last year?
Yeah, I mean, so the reason I'm in is it's twofold. One is that he played through a bunch of injuries last year, and you can see the beginning and end of the season, he's got all these games with 11, 10, 12 targets. He actually had 5 games with double-digit targets, right? In the middle of the season, though, he's dealing with like a neck injury, a back injury, an elbow, all these weird things where he had like a game with 3 targets and no catches because he's just all banged up, right? The other thing is that it's the same wide receiver coach, and the wide receiver coach came out and said that Godwin's moving back in the slot. The year before last, he had 600 slot snaps and 300 out wide. Last year, 600 out wide, 300 in the slot. I think that's going to play better into what he does. I think that as far as guys that are highly consolidated, Godwin's about as safe as a pick as you can get. And he actually quietly led the team in receptions last year. He had more receptions than Mike Evans, which off the top of my head, I would not have guessed, but I was actually just looking at the other day. I don't know, Joe, are you in on Godwin? Are you out? I know you're a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan.
Yeah.
You got boots on the ground over there.
I do. I do think we see it spread around a little more next year. They are, like you believe you mentioned, they are moving Godwin back to the slot, is everything we've heard. And I think you saw Baker and Kate Otten sort of starting to connect last year. So you saw, okay, well, there is some good slot usage coming with this Buccaneers offense. I think Chris Godwin slots back in there. Am I up? Almost there. And I think he's going to have a much better season this year. I'm going to stop not believing in Mike Evans. He's my favorite player of all time. He gets 1,000 yards every year. Until he doesn't do it, I'm just going to think he's going to do it again. Maybe not the touchdowns he had last year, though.
I'm drafting both, man. It's like, to me, it's like taking AJ Brown, Devonta Smith. It's like taking, Chase and Higgins. It's like taking, Demario Douglas and Jalen Polk. I mean, they're all superstars in their own right. Notice how I snuck in.
Yeah, caught the Polk at the end. It's like,
Dude, did you guys
Be-
see that crazy robot on Twitter earlier that said it was from the future?
I did see that.
Coop, it was
Crazy.
it was an adorable little tweet there, Coop.
I
It
think
really was.
My account was hacked.
Sure it was.
So, Coop, has anybody coined the phrase "pop and Polk" yet? For Pop Douglas and Jalen Polk? Do you like that Pop and Polk?
I
that good?
love that.
Joey, that's
yeah.
it, man. You're done. That's it. We're getting rid of Joey here because you can't be that's like going to the petting zoo and being like, I'm just gonna feed this animal that they keep telling me not to feed.
The Darren's dance groove, Pop and Polk routine. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
Touchdown. Dude, I watched. Did you guys see the clip of Drake May and Jalen Polk at the Bruins game? They were cracking me up. They're like little kids, dude. They're like, man, these guys get real close to the ice. You see them going up against, they go right up against the glass out here. And he's like, would you rather score a goal or score a touchdown? And Polk picked a goal. I was like, would you rather score a goal in hockey or score a touchdown, Bender?
I think I'd rather score a touchdown. I mean, scoring the goal is nice, right? You get like a little bit of time to celebrate there on ice and do something fun or whatever. But scoring a touchdown, I mean, you're also talking about stadiums that hold 50 to 60,000 people, as opposed to a hockey arena that's like 25,000 people. I want center stage. I want everybody all up in my business.
Fireworks.
I want my Rod Tidwell moment. That's what I want.
With Joey's Bucks, shoot a cannon off.
They do.
What about you, Joey? Goal or touchdown? Chat. What do you guys think?
It's tough because you can't dance on ice. So I'm going to want to dance after I score a touchdown. But at the same time, with a goal, I can spin in a circle like middle finger, like on ice, just circling the other team's goalie. So I'm really torn. I'd probably rather score a touchdown.
You can do some cool stuff after you score a goal.
Hockey is the only sport I've never seen live. And I need to fix it. I need to fix that.
You've never been to a live hockey game?
I was supposed to go to a Knights game last year, but I ended up going to a nice dinner instead when I was in Vegas. So I chose food, which you can tell I probably like food a lot, over hockey. And I kind of regret that decision sometimes.
We got to get you out to one, man, because it's a blast.
They were playing the Bruins too. When I was there, I just failed. I failed you, Coop. I'm sorry.
Panthers are playing the Bruins. Florida is playing my Boston now.
And you're both going to lose to my Rangers in the next round. So that's our hockey talk for today, folks.
Dustin loves the hockey talk. Yeah, I see him in the chat already talking about it. Goals are sick. Goals are harder to score, but here's the thing: there's more games. So like these guys are scoring like 50 goals. The best wide receiver of all time's touchdown total was 23 for the Patriots, the best team of all. So you know how that goes. I took a quarterback, Dak Prescott. Doesn't feel good. What do you guys think about Dak Prescott this year? Last year he was QB3, just firing the ball at CeeDee Lamb. I don't know if I think he's going to be QB3 again, but I needed a quarterback. What do you think, Joey? You in on Dak?
I was out on Dak, and then yesterday I was actually breaking down some quarterback numbers. He was the number one quarterback second half of the season last year. I mean, he truly was on fire last year. And it's hard to see him not doing kind of the same thing. He gets Ezekiel Elliott back, so they got a decent run game when they want to do it. Throws to Riddle. I don't mind it. We know CeeDee Lamb's a stud. Jeff Bell over at Football Guys, he loves Ryan Florney. So there's a lot there to like for Dak, and I think he does want to get paid. And if he wants to get paid, he's going to have to continue playing well. So maybe we see a continuation like we saw from it's not just last half of the last season. It's kind of been like the last season and a third that he's just been unbelievable.
Yeah. I hate these drafts because Tony Pollard was the next guy in my rankings, and then one tier below was Dak, and I took Dak, and then Hamburger immediately takes Pollard.
Taking my guys.
This draft did get a little yucky all of a sudden.
Listen, let's face facts. Every draft gets yucky 6 picks in, right? Like all of a sudden you hit that spot where you're just like, not everybody is as appealing to me. And I mean, listen, the running back position at this point right now, even you got Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears is there, Jalen Warren still dealing with Najee Harris, Raheem Mostert. I mean, you're bringing in Jalen Wright. Now you also have Devon Achane in there. So, there's the running back position here getting super ugly, super fast.
Keep going, dude. See how many parades you can rain on, Howard. I think you just did 6. Can you do any more?
I can if you really want me to.
Stop right at your buddy Nick Chubb. I'm just
rocking in all the value here. Players are being left to me. Like I took Deontay Johnson in the 7th round. Coop, that's an extra round and a half of value according to your cheat sheet right there. Like that's like what I love about doing this, because listen, there are some times where last week I went completely rogue and I just did whatever I wanted to do. Right. This time I'm trying to be a little bit more disciplined. I'm trying to work off of this cheat sheet. And I got to tell you, in all honesty, look at this team. I am ecstatic with this team right now. Breece Hall, Devontae Adams. I'll take Malik Neighbors, the only game in town there. I don't like the auto pick of Josh Allen, but Jaden Reed, Alvin Kamara, Deontay Johnson, George Kittle. It is like these last 3 picks have been the forgotten guys who I think you end up getting at value because everybody's so hell-bent on grabbing the shiny new toy.
Your team is better than my team based on my rankings.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Fantastic.
Brock Bowers gone. Mike Williams gone. Where am I going next?
I'm thinking Mike Will, man. It feels like the most dangerous asset in all of fantasy football, Mike Williams. I mean, my goodness. Could you get more volatility? Maybe Xavier Legette. I mean, I'm just not sure.
That was more volatile. I wanted right there. That was the pick I wanted. Jamison Williams.
JMO.
I had to go off my own rankings. I had JMO in my queue, but I have Mike Williams ahead.
The cheat sheet's telling me to take Romeo Doubs, but I don't know if I want to go Romeo Doubs because I got myself some I already have myself a little bit of Green Bay sitting in there. So I'm going to take Tyler Lockett because that's what I missed the pick. Now where did I go?
You got a joke. Yeah, but you got a guy you like though.
Yeah, but no, but I do have a guy I like, but I don't have a guy who's got an offensive coordinator who loves to force feed targets to the tight end position. Like Njoku did beautifully last year with Alex Van Pelt, who's now over in New England. So I'd take Hunter Henry above David Njoku even at this point.
I'm real high on Hunter Henry and I almost said the name of a player that I plan to draft later.
Jaheim Bell? Yeah, me too.
Jaheim. I mean, I don't know, dude.
I think it was a great draft pick.
He caught a lot of screens at Florida State. Joey, I want to ask you, because we talked about it last week, but you were on last week with us. Are there any, and again, don't give away too many of your sleepers here, but rookies that you think are really in a position to succeed, right? Because like last year, Jackson Smith and Jigba, a lot of us liked him, a lot of us still like him, but he got drafted to a team where he's, for the time being, the 3rd wide receiver. Are there some guys that you're looking at and you're like, this is actually not only good for dynasty, but great for redraft?
Yeah, I mean, Brian Thomas, I don't understand why people aren't more excited for him. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, I still think he's a great quarterback. And I think Brian Thomas, if Trevor Lawrence is going to be great, Brian Thomas is going to have to step up. And we know that he does have that talent as a wide receiver to do that. I have been a little surprised that we've seen Ladd McConkey and Xavier Worthy and Keon Coleman slide up above Brian Thomas in a lot of drafts. I'm not sure how it shook out here today.
On the cheat sheet, for those keeping track at home, which a lot of people are, Howard is, I have Brian Thomas ahead of Xavier Worthy, ahead of Roma Dunze, ahead of Ladd McConkey, because I'm with you. I think Trevor Lawrence is a tremendous player. And how do we know that? Because we've watched players play with other quarterbacks and not play well, and then go play with Trevor Lawrence and have their best seasons they've ever had. Christian Kirk, not that good with other quarterbacks. Evan Engram, obviously not that good with other quarterbacks, goes to play with our guy there, all of a sudden good. I wonder if maybe it's because the quarterback's good. And Brian Thomas Jr. stepping into the spot where Calvin Ridley just walked out of as a 6'3", 210-pound monster, I think that's a pretty good setup. So I'm with you, Joey, all the way.
I'm very excited right now because I almost took Jared Goff last round instead of would I take Trey Benson? Yeah, and so Goff made it all the way back around. So I was like, maybe I'll just wait on quarterback one more round. And the guy I wanted was still waiting there for me. So I love it.
There we go. JL Garofalo in the chat. Unbiased Clemson alum believes that Trevor Lawrence is a good player.
Over at Front Yard Fantasy, like if I say anything about Trevor Lawrence, I get like smacked. It's not a pleasant situation. So I'm just nice to all Clemson players.
You can't sit there and say that you are a Clemson grad, but you're unbiased, because that just doesn't work that way. You know how many arguments I've had with Tara Roberts about all that? I mean, come on, she's like Clemson, like go nuts over it. And you know what? Fantasia Fun, who does these with us here, he's also like a huge Clemson homer. So there is no unbiased opinions if you went to that school. I'm sorry.
In his defense, I snuck unbiased in there. He didn't say it. He is clearly.
Oh, okay. He can admit it.
He has not been shot, but he's also not been wrong, because think of all the great players that have come out of there. DeAndre Hopkins, all these guys. Travis Etienne, a player I like a lot. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence. So, what can you do? Not a lot of players coming out of BC and UMass, but we have Matt Ryan, Luke Kuechly. Luke Kuechly was BC.
Such an amazing tight end out of Amherst College.
Victor Cruz. Yeah, no, not a whole lot, but they're out there. Pat Fryermuth grew up out here. So
did he?
He grew up in northern Massachusetts. Yeah, in like Andover, I think. One of those towns. One of those towns up there.
Do you know who Dana Barros is?
Of course.
Coop? I know Howard does. I got bowled over by Dana Barros when I was like 7 years old. They came down for a holiday tournament at the college basketball team that I was like the ball boy for, and they played Boston College, and Dana Barros bowled me over because I didn't get out of the way quick enough when I was wiping up the court.
Charge? Do they call a charge? It wasn't even during a game.
Yeah, he's like I don't like the look of that kid.
Yeah. Dana Barros, basically in this part of the country. Dana Barros set an entire generation of kids to wear Reebok dunks. You know those ones you pump? Because he wore them during the dunk contest. So every kid in New England had to have a pair of those stupid shoes with like the pumps on the tongue, the Reebok pumps. Yeah, you had to have them. And I did have them. Oh, sorry. Kevin Tompkins points out that we didn't mention Andy Isabella with the UMass Amherst.
Sorry. Can we just talk about how nightmarish that is right there? The Andy Isabella. It's the rest of the tight end room. Isn't that all in Buffalo? It's just absolutely grotesque.
Silly.
What they've got there. And Andy Isabella is sitting over there right now.
The Andy Isabella draft pick was a classic team. That was a classic team saying, let's make the floor pick and we'll take a guy that worst case scenario he can play special teams. And not only did he not pan out as a wide receiver, but he wasn't even that good at special teams. So that's why you take the DK Metcalf instead of the Andy Isabella, because they could both bust, but at least one could be DK Metcalf. And for the record, Andy Isabella was picked before DK Metcalf in that draft.
I'm dropping shit left and right here.
All right, let's take a quick little peek at the board here. See if there's any funky builds going on.
Do you want me to highlight anybody in particular here? You want me to scroll on up for you there, Coop? What do you want me to do?
Let's just take a little look around. What I want to see is there anybody that doesn't have a quarterback yet? No, it looks like everybody's at least got a quarterback. Everybody's at least got a tight end. So nobody taking it to the limit here. Though I've done that in a couple drafts. I've actually done a couple drafts. I did one draft where I took 3 quarterbacks within my last 5 picks, and I didn't hate it. So there's value to be had out there, ladies and gentlemen.
It's really tough in best ball to wait on quarterback like you can in redraft and dynasty for that matter. Because, in redraft or dynasty, you may see 1 or 2 if it's not super flex come off the board. But in best ball, by the time you hit round 10 or 11, a lot of teams have already doubled up on quarterback. So it's a little tough in best ball to wait on quarterback. I always get myself caught there.
It gets ugly. It does get ugly, but based on underdog ADP, I feel like there's some guys going late, which we can get to. We're going to get to, as long as this draft ends in the period that we think here. Oh, fantasy. Oh, so I think that might be Impemba in the chat saying it was actually D Brown, not Dana Barros, that wore the pumps. So shout out D Brown. I got confused with my DB Celtics players. Dana Barros built a nice little facility in the area for kids to. It's all basketball courts, indoor basketball courts, batting batting cages, all that stuff. So Dana Barros still contributing there, but
That's
D Brown
awesome.
was the shoes. Yeah, great dude, man. And I love the fact that he ran you over too. That's another.
I mean,
thing.
just my
That's another
job
thing he
was
did that I really like.
yeah. My job was to the players are sweating. I had like the long stick with the mop at the end. I dry it off and just have my head down. And Dana Barros. I mean, I was the ball boy for Florida Tech, which is like basically Division II, and Boston College was, of course, Boston College. And he stole the ball and just came up the court, and I had my head down and just got leveled.
Trucked, dude.
So he was nice to pick me up and everything. Dusted him off. Didn't give me his jersey though. That's okay. He did sign a basketball for me though.
Oh, that's nice, dude. You still have it?
No, I lost all my stuff in an apartment fire when I was 25. True story.
Ouch, dude.
Yeah. Then
were you smoking and left a lit cigarette in there?
No, you're not far off.
Did you start the fire, Joey?
No, it was already burning since the world had been turning.
There he is.
Busting out a little midnight oil in the middle of this. Like there's at least 90% of the viewers have no idea what that song is. So kudos to you on that one, Joey.
Yeah, well, I learned that song very well firsthand. No, they were welding in a stairwell, and there was wet paint, and there was a wind advisory that day. I mean, everything you could possibly. It was comical, and it was funny because I didn't know my apartment had caught on fire, and I was on the news because I worked right next to where our apartments were. So I walked across to go check on my place. And at that time, everything was looking great. And I was like, oh, I feel bad for all these people that, they've lost their homes and I can't wait to help them out. And then like 30 minutes later, the fire jumped to my apartment and I was like, oh. So, but It's okay. I got a good settlement.
There you go.
But you didn't, but they didn't replace your Dana Barros basketball.
No. And I lost a lot of, I'm a big Atlanta Braves fan. And I went to spring training for like 15 years in a row with like a backpack full of baseballs, not to sell, just for my own personal collection. And not just Braves players, man, like Albert Pujols. I mean, like any Braves player you can imagine, I had the autographed ball for.
You're on the clock, Joey.
Yep. Oh, crap.
Don't blow it. Don't take my guy.
Don't take my guy.
Don't take my guy. Don't take my guy. Got it out. Oh. Didn't take my guy. Okay.
I'm going to take your guy, though.
Nope, you didn't take my guy either.
Oh, I took Brandon Cooks.
There seems to be a little bit of value being left on the board here, as in accordance to Coop's thing. So Kendry Miller goes there. According to Coop's stuff, this is the pick that I need to make, and I'm getting some value on it as well.
Yeah. QJ Slander's gone too far. I know Kevin Tompkins agrees on that. And the reality is, man, he's getting an opportunity no matter what. The coaches have said good things about him, but I mean, they didn't go out. They drafted Ladd McConkey, but they do very different things.
Absolutely.
You gotta have 2 or 3 wide receivers on the field at all times. So if he busts, he busts. But I'm willing to take a shot on that upside. He's first round pick.
See, my thing with QJ was last year coming into the league, I was not high on him as a first-year rookie wide receiver. I mean, I thought he had trouble with contested catches. Another shout out to Jeff Bell brought that up and really showed me, like, even though he's a big body wide receiver, he has trouble hauling in those balls when people are on him.
He gets no separation.
No.
Yeah.
So I said, give him a year and let him work in the system a little bit. Now it's going to be a new system for him. But I think now is when we might see what we are to expect out of QJ. I don't think last year we could really gather what we were going to get from him. So I'm hoping for him.
Kev correcting me. I guess he doesn't like QJ. I thought you had a trade on the docket for some QJ going on. So, sorry. And of course, Toronto Dave defending Josh Palmer, who is, of course, from Palmer from the Toronto area. Shout out the Toronto area. So another unbiased take in the chat.
I've said this a bunch. If I like Josh Palmer as like the first, if you're going to have one Chargers wide receiver to help you get a start this season, I like Josh Palmer to start the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the thing is, again, in redraft, I like taking guys like that with my last pick because he's going to get the opportunity, and we're going to see what it looks like. And if it looks bad right from the rip, then you just drop him. In best ball, you can't really drop those guys, but I don't know. The upside's there. I'm on the clock here, trying to choose between my heart and my head. My head take two rookies here. My head says to take one. My heart wants to
No,
take another.
don't do it.
I'm gonna take the one that my head says to take here.
I don't mind that pick. I like that pick.
Don't do it.
Coop, just so you know here, and just so that everybody knows how much we love to audit content here, you've got Wan'Dale Robinson twice in this cheat sheet. Round 13A and round 13B.
Well, just want to make sure nobody misses him in the second time around.
Because he's like super short and you don't want anybody to overlook. I got you.
So I think you might have downloaded an earlier copy.
Nope.
You sure? Because on my cheat
I downloaded
sheet,
it about 5 minutes before this show.
well, then
I was there for that.
then we have to re-upload the newer copy because I'm looking at a copy right now that has just one Wan'Dale Robinson on it.
All right. Let's get tech on that one.
I'm sending it over as we speak. So Hamburglar took the player. In my rankings, I have Roman Wilson ahead of Polk, though I think both, Polk did go, the draft capital's there. It's just, going to play with a rookie quarterback in New England, pretty scary. Roman Wilson is a guy going to play with the Steelers and Russell Wilson, a team that has a history of drafting wide receivers. I took Roman Wilson, but I would have been happy with either one.
All right. I didn't get Joey's thoughts on my Will Levis pick here because I've spoken to you about it, Coop. I think I took Levis last week in this whole thing. My feeling about it is that Brian Callahan wants to throw. They bring in Calvin Ridley to go with Treylon Burks and DeAndre Hopkins. They also bring in another young wide receiver. They've got Chiga Okonkwo in there as a pass catching tight end. They've got two pass catching running backs in Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears. I don't understand how Will Levis isn't throwing the ball 57 times a game. Not that will happen, but for the same token, maybe it does.
And they go out and get Tyler Boyd. They are just trying to
signing.
Yeah, they are just trying to set Levis up for success. I think when you see a team doing this, you kind of have to buy into it. I heard earlier someone was talking about coach speak. Like, you do kind of have to listen to it a little bit. That's not even coach speak. That's coach actions. Like, you see what this team is doing to make Will Levis valuable. Let me make my pick here. That was easy.
I love watching the guy. He's fun to watch, right? Like, he is willing to let it fly. He's got a little bit of that Jay. He's got a little Jay Cutler in him, right? And again, they said that he needs to work on his fundamentals. Jay Cutler just never did. He was always willing to chuck it off the back foot. He had the biggest arm around, right? So it didn't matter for him. If Levis can be that kind of guy, but then hone that in a little bit, man, he could be awesome. He could be a good player.
Coop, I want to ask you about one of my picks.
What's up?
What do you think about the Senator? I want to know what you think of him.
So I think I think he's a good player. I think he's a nice, well-rounded player. The problem you run into for short term with these well-rounded guys is when a team has an incumbent pass-catching tight end, that's all they do, right? Because if you're the tight end coach, right? I assume the tight end coach probably wears glasses like this, and there's a big meatball, and he goes, he takes a little look around. Let me see what we're working with here with the boys. And then he says, okay, you're going to be the pass catching guy, and you're going to be, the inline guy, and you're going to just block. He points at Michael Pruitt over the corner. You're basically be a tackle, right? Like, so when he looks around the room and he sees Zach Ertz there, he's never going to have Zach Ertz put his hand in the dirt so that Ben Sinnott can run routes. And we saw this exact thing happen with the Bears. The rookie year for Cole Kmet was probably just as good, if not better, at catching passes as Jimmy Graham was at the time. But because they had Jimmy Graham, they would just put Jimmy Graham out there in the slot, and Jimmy Graham would run some routes. And Cole Kmet actually played more snaps than Graham, but Graham got like 70 targets and Kmet got like 50. And towards the end of the season, that flipped a little bit, and Kmet got more work. But that's my concern short term for Ben Sinnott, is that because they have, Zach Ertz floating around, that Ertz is going to get like the veteran treatment where he just gets to run routes. Long term, I just like him in Dynasty. I think he's a good player. He went in the second round. Nothing not to like there. And again, Zach Ertz, when he got hurt last year, it was wheels up for Trey McBride. So if Zach Ertz goes out and he's old and gets hurt this year, it could be wheels up for Senate and Cliff Kingsbury's offense. Somebody's going to be running around outside of the slot. So people forget that. Like, people come to me and they're like, Trey McBride was the easiest pick ever last year. I was like, really? Was it though? Because I distinctly remember over the first 5 weeks, the most targets he got in the game was like 3, and Zach Ertz was getting like 7. You know what I mean? Like, Trey McBride, if Zach Ertz never got hurt, might never really have emerged the way he did. So I'm not sure he was the easiest pick ever. I think he was the easiest waiver ad ever.
Yeah, so that's the thing is week 3, he was floating out there on waivers in many, many leagues. So I don't think he's the easiest pick ever.
Hal picking Dulcich right before me, classic rug pull, but I got it on my tight. I got one of my tight ends. They should. I'm reaching out to Underdog. I want Underdog illegal in Michigan again. I'm getting Hal out of these drafts. He's the first time in here with us. He's already driving me nuts.
As he should be. Like, that's again, that's the test. Like, these early drafts are great to see where the value is sitting and where you can take advantage of it. But I also think that this is important, that if you're drafting alongside somebody like Coop, somebody like Joey, again, my strategy is take their guys, see where they pivot, because that's where you're going to learn. Like, you can subscribe to Fantasy Alarm, you can get Coop's rankings, you can read the cheat sheet, and you know exactly where Coop's going. But where does he go if he doesn't get those guys? And how far down does he pivot, off to it to somebody else? I think that's when you're dealing with draft strategy, and I think that's it's important there as well, is to be able to know exactly where you want to go if you're getting sniped. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't prepare for. They go into their draft, they say, these are the guys who I want to target. These are the rankings that I'm going to use. And they just stick with that like same draft plan, and they don't know how to pivot. And all of a sudden in round 12, when your guys are all gone, you're like, what the hell am I doing? Where am I going here with these, with these picks? That's when you're up to the true test.
Yeah. And Joey, I want to ask you, like, your general philosophy to kind of what Howard's pointing out, is that when it comes to rankings, there's a science to it, right? Like last year, take a guy like Nico Collins. He was in ADP like wide receiver 50, but he finished wide receiver 12. If you had ranked him wide receiver 12 before the season, you would have been exactly right. But would that have been good rankings? I don't think so, because you didn't have to draft him there. It's like, how do you balance that? Like, for you personally, how do you balance the idea of, okay, this is what I think happens versus this is where I need to take this guy, or I can wait and take this guy? Do you just get your guys, or do you factor that in?
So I had a guy last year that I was like, this is my guy. And I was wrong on it. I was wrong on the take. But I was often prepared to not get him in drafts because I figured people either want to be funny or they've been listening to what I say and they're going to take him too. But I would never reach more than one round before his ADP to grab him. And it was Samaje P. Ryan, who last year, I was going in like the 10th round. So if I felt good about my team, because I really truly believed in what Samaje P. Ryan could have done last year, I would have reached and grabbed him in the 9th or 10th. And we even had like a group like Samaje in the 10th that we would all, but I would move in and grab him in the 9th if I needed to. But I'll never overreach to grab someone, even if I think that they're, one second, let me make my pick, even if I think that they're being horribly underdrafted, because you just can't, because I mean, you have to get value.
Right. And that's what we attempt to do with especially the draft grid. Like, for instance, every one of these drafts I do, I make some notes and I kind of say to myself, like, okay, with this next update, and I try to keep it updated, who am I going to move around? Who can I move back a little bit because we know we can get them? For instance, today, Howard pointed out Rashee Rice, his ADP is going a lot later than it was earlier. I think I can actually, even if I like him, probably move him back a little bit, and we could still fairly safely get that player without having to go above and beyond to take him.
With somebody like Rashee Rice too, and best ball, this is the kind of league I do want to draft him in. If he sits 6 games, let's say he gets a 6-game suspension. This is best ball. I know that if I'm drafting well, one of those guys on my bench can kind of fill in for a few weeks. If not 2 or 3 of them can just piece together some 10-point weeks for me. So when Rashee Rice is out there on the field doing what we know he can do, I'll have him on my lineup then. So best ball is the kind of league I do like to take Rashee Rice at the value in.
Right. Yeah. There's no difference between 0 points and 6 points, in those couple weeks, however many weeks it is, because they're just all not in your lineup anyway. So I don't know, that kind of stuff, especially with like injuries and stuff, I feel is over. But I don't know. That's another one of my draft mistakes from the draft article. It's up on fantasyalarm.com. Common best ball mistakes. Dr. Fortune Teller trying to predict what's going to happen. It's a tough look. And the thing is, Rashee Rice might not even get suspended this year. He could potentially, if the court
he's going to get suspended. Like,
but it might not be this year.
It's going to be like 3 or 4 games, though. It's not going to be like. It's not going to be a 6 or 7 game. I mean, yes, he was an idiot and went out to the club and ended up causing more mayhem there, which is definitely not good. But again, I'm not too against it. Look at this. I'm pissing on everybody's Zamir White pick right here because Dylan Lobby's going to get all of those pass catching opportunities. I'm just saying.
Shout out another New England player. Shout out to UNH. Where my life went.
Listen, as long as it's not Massachusetts born, I'm good.
Wildcats. We're claiming now we're stretch. That's how far we have to stretch. We have to claim UNH players. Well,
a guy like Dylan Lobby, I actually kind of like because I think that he was underrated in the in the draft. I think he went super late. To the Raiders. And I think that, in this day and era where everybody's looking for a pass catching running back, hell, I was talking to Tom King from the Nashua Telegraph yesterday. And even Tom was still talking about James White, and who could be the next James White. And you hear that nonstop there. So, if I'm making a last pick here in the, in a draft against a relatively unproven, Zamir White. I mean, listen, what he did last year was great, but I mean, do we know for a fact that Zamir White's going to be able to maintain? I'll take that upside stretch here on Dylan Lobby. It's better than taking a guy like Marquez Valdez-Scantling. What a knucklehead that dude is.
Listen, you heard me giggle when I made the pick.
I did.
He took a lot of shots yesterday, and you know what? I think somebody in one of the comments about it said anyone that drafts him is a Muppet. And I was like,
a Muppet.
I kind of like that. MVS fans are Muppets. I kind of get behind that.
Yeah.
He needed a little love. I just gave him a little love there at the end.
Joey Wright here taking Kermit the Frog and Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
That was very good. I have been known to throw the Muppets around on the Fantasy Alarm streams in the past. So
I almost joined the Muppet movie. I almost joined the Muppet movie division for Scott Fishbowl.
Oh,
so good. Will you give us just a little Cookie Monster, Joey?
Ask me a question about a player, and then we'll see if he comes out.
Joey, why didn't Russell Wilson get drafted at all in this draft? As is probably the starting quarterback.
No. I took Russell Wilson last year. QB 14, even though he only played 15 games. Me really like Russell Wilson. Helmet looks like Big Cookie.
There you go, dude. And so you did draft Russell Wilson.
I did, yeah. He finished, like I said, as Cookie Monster just said, he finished at the QB 14 last year and missed 2 games. As my QB 3 in the second to last round, just in case was it Trevor Lawrence and Jared Goff both have the same bye week.
Right.
I'm okay with that. I don't think he's going to finish the season in Pittsburgh. I think Justin Fields will take it, but
maybe. I mean, the thing is, and here's the other part of it. I'll get us out, right after this. But Russell Wilson, how often does a quarterback get benched and the backup quarterback come in and play well? That almost never happens. So I'd rather bet that Russell Wilson joins the team that made the playoffs last year and he's just the quarterback and he's good, than try and bet that Russell Wilson gets benched and the next quarterback comes in and down the stretch he's good. It almost never happens. So for me, I think it's just an easier bet to bet Russell Wilson and Justin Fields goes ahead. But anyway, we're out of time here. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. If you want to join us in these drafts, well, it's pretty simple. Go over to Fantasy Alarm, get yourself an all-pro membership. That's going to get you in the Discord. That's going to get you everything, all the sports, everything. If you want to just sneak in and kind of check it out, then you can get the best ball cheat sheet. Go to fantasyalarm.com/bestball. You can pick up a cheat sheet. We'll get you in the best ball part of the Discord, just that little slice. You can draft with us, hang out with us, check out all the information in there, updated routinely and all summer long, and kind of see if you like it. And then, of course, if it works for you, then go get the All Pro membership. But just as a heads up, if you go and get that All Pro membership, it's only a little more than the cheat sheet, and it comes with the cheat sheet. So go All Pro. Anyway, that's what we have going on today. Joey, tell us what you guys got going on, because I know I've been kind of tuning in with the football guys. You got new channels going on,
Yeah,
YouTube channels, everything going
split
on.
off
So
the
kind of
YouTube
cool.
channel. The Audible guy said, "Get off our channel." No. We wanted to get some very directed channels for our subscribers. So we've got a Dynasty channel. We got the Fantasy Football channel. That's where you'll find Alfredo Brown and Dave Kluge in the Fantasy Football Show. And on Fridays, actually, we do have a live best ball stream. Dave just kicked it off last week with Pete Overzet. And then the Audible you can still find over at the Audible. Yeah, lots of fun stuff going on in football, guys, right now. I'm a big part of it. I just make everybody laugh, though.
You're the best, dude. You're the best. And we appreciate you joining us, joining the family.
Oh, thank you so much.
That's going to be it for us, unless Howard Bender has any words of wisdom for us on the way out.
Waka, waka, waka.
There's your wisdom, folks. All right. Thank you, guys. We'll see you on Friday for Coop's Fantasy Football Fiasco. And make sure you check out Howard Bender tonight on Fantasy Alarm on